Toda raba, Moises. I always say whenever I see Moises, the first thing I do is smile because he's just that kind of person. La primera cosa que hago siempre cuando me hablan o cuando le veo a Moises es sonreír. So thank you very much, and thanks for your patience. I'll try and go quickly, but my grandfather always told me I was going to get a ticket for speeding. So I've been working with I'm just going to say crypto Jews, but many of them now are not hidden. They're not crypto anymore. They're open, but just for convenience sake, I'll just use one word. So I've been working with them in Portugal for 20 years as an ethnomusicologist. And for those who don't know, we study music and culture together. We don't separate them. Not the culture without the music, not the music without the culture. So there's a lot of romanticizing, a lot of mythology where Sephardic music is concerned. By extension, there's even more romanticizing and more mythology of music among crypto Jews. One thing you often hear, for example, is they'll say, oh, well, they know this Sephardic song, therefore they must be, have ancient Sephardic ancestors. Well, no, because they're talking about a song that was only composed around 1890 and was well known in Spain at the time, and then, touring Spanish singers would bring it, say, to Istanbul or Salonika, and people would learn it. So all this kind of thing is very easily, snowballed. So since about 1995, 20 years, I've conducted both in situ, on the spot, fieldwork and historical ethnographic research toward providing a better understanding of the role of music in crypto-Jewish life. And the role of music is different from music. It's what role music plays in their lives. This paper focuses on Portugal, though I've also worked in regions of Spain. You'll see all these people again later on. So we know about early conversos, historical. What we know is mostly that they did sing, but we don't know what we don't know what music they sang. We know what texts they sang a lot of the time. We have here on the left Leonor de Carvajal's testimony from the 16th century, and I believe there are descendants of the Carvajal family right here. But religious songs that her family sang. One of the song texts that she recited for the Inquisition still shows up in crypto-Jewish prayers today in Portugal, but without a tune, and we don't know what melody she used. Diego de Arias, 15th century, beautiful work by our colleague Eliezer Gutwerth, was known for his tuneful renditions of Jewish religious songs, but we don't know what the tunes were, and so on. The Rebordello manuscript from the 18th century has all kinds of prayers and words and lyrics, but again, no music. So jumping to the very early 20th century, Captain Bar Artur de Barros Basto, born in 87, died in 1961, often known as the Apostle of the Marranos or the Portuguese Dreyfus. It's a long story. I'm going to keep it very short here, but basically, he found out from his grandfather that they were from a Marrano family. And he was a brilliant man. He studied Hebrew, he studied Arabic, Greek. The only way, because his father lost all the family money, the only way to study was to go through the army. He became a decorated captain. And he went to Morocco, got a formal conversion in Morocco, married a Moroccan Sephardic woman, went back to Portugal. This is the most condensed history of Barros Basto ever. And decided that his spare time would be entirely devoted to saving the Jews in the small villages as Jews. And so wherever he went, the interesting thing for me as an ethnomusicologist is that everything that was written about him talked about how much he sang. He sang secular Portuguese songs. He sang religious songs. He sang popular songs. He sang his yeshiva. The records show some notes about liturgical singing that was taught there. And because he published the Halapid, and it was sent out to every single person who he had identified as a crypto-Jew, he probably had quite a lot of influence on what people were singing. For example, he received, I guess I'll tell you this. He received a copy of the famous Sephardic Cancionero songbook by Alberto Hemsi. He had a copy of that. in his office. Jalapit has every notice of a concert that a Jewish person gave in Lisbon, for example. His daughter, Miriam de Barros Bastos, que descanse, told me, my father sang all the time, my mother and my brother, who died young, played the piano, and he was always singing. And here's Moise Abranches, this is just a kind of side note. He was the last living of the crypto-Jewish village students of Barros Bastos who was involved, and I'm not going to go into that at all now, but just so you know about it, in the Barros Bastos case. Anybody interested in that, you can ask me or a few other people around here later. The other towering figure is Samuel Schwartz. He was a Polish-Jewish Ashkenazi mining engineer from a long family of scholars and rabbis, with his wife Agatha and their daughter Clara. This is Clara at 97 years old, a couple of years ago. So he, in his book of Belmonte Crypto-Jewish Prayers and Customs, he included one musical transcription, which is this one. This is right out of his book. But Clara said that her father never sang at all. He was the opposite from Barros Bastos. She also said that she and her mother very rarely went to Belmonte. They mostly stayed in Lisbon. And that Schwartz himself never spent Passover or Yom Kippur, the two most important moments for the crypto-Jews, and in Belmonte. He always spent them at home in Lisbon. So anything he heard from them, he heard at other times, not during the actual occasion. I'm going to move on, because of time. Up in Trás-os-Montes, up in the northeast of Portugal, behind the mountains, or the other side of the mountains. Sorry about that. These things are so sensitive. So, this is Olivia Tabac. Those of you who have seen the movie Les Derniers Marans have seen her probably in the movie. She was interviewed as well. What's often translated oddly from the movie is, in the movie, if you listen really carefully, she says, this is what they, her mother and her grandmother and her aunts, this is what they used to do. And in the movie, the English subtitles are usually translated, this is what they do. But she was 92 when I interviewed her in around 1996, I think. And if she was already saying that that's what they used to do, that says something about how the traditions were already wearing out. But she herself was one of the last prayer women, rezadeiras, in Vilarinho dos Galegos, which is a tiny, tiny village. She talked about prayers. She sang a little bit, her mother's and aunt's customs. Tia Sofia in Curaçao, the grandmother of some of the people that you may have met if you were in Curaçao with the Samora conference. She died many years ago, about 10 years ago. She was one of the last of the old Jewish women known as expert weavers in the area. Dona Arminda of Sampaio, a maestro de Vilarinho. She taught school in Vilarinho for 40 years, and she confirmed to me that the legend of the abafadores, the Maranos who smothered their dying relatives so they wouldn't confess that they were Jewish in front of the priest, was just that. It was a legend. It was completely unfounded. She said she worked there for 40 years. It's a tiny village, and she would have known if they did anything like that. Curaçao, Beatriz, she said, I am Jewish on all four sides, dos quatro costados, on all four sides. She sang many songs, including the Lent song of the Encomendation of the Souls. This is also Vilarinho. This is me recording that first year in Arguzelo, singing. And this is Arguzelo. This is Maria. She just died this past September. I am. I am. Can I do it in my own time? Thanks. So this is Maria, and she's singing along with herself several years before. I was playing her the recording I'd made of her the first year I met her, and she was fascinated to hear herself, and she started singing along. Whoops, I was trying to play that for you. How do I go back? How do I go back? Oh, where? Oh, okay. No, back, not forward. Okay. So this should be playing, but it's not. This is supposed to be a video. Remember, it was playing before, but okay, I'll find it for you after. Sorry, it's not playing. But here it should work. So, Belmonte. Several people in Belmont. Few places are more emblematic than Belmont has become. Some people complained to me recently, some Jews of Belmont, that it's becoming too much of a Disney tourist attraction. Over the past 20 years, it's really become one of my other homes. So you have Amelia, who is one of the last great rezadeiras as well, and her daughter Mercedes, who passed away this past summer, Anna, who passed away just 2 or 3 weeks ago, and some of the rest of the community. So let's listen a little bit, and I'll tell you what it is.
São tão bonitas as cravoeiras, são tão catitas as feticeiras. Oh, que belo rancho tem a mocidade, viva as raparigas, viva a liberdade. Liberdade, liberdade, quem não tem goza-se dela. Eu não tenho liberdade nem de chegar à janela.
So
são tão bonitas.
That's not a Jewish song. This is a very interesting phenomenon, and it was in Trás-os-Montes as well. It was documented there in a study in 1922. So during the Passover time only, certain jogos de roda, they're circle dances, the kind that little kids play, you know, bluebird, bluebird, through my window, that sort of thing, with one kid in the center, and they take turns, that sort of thing. It's the adults, not the children, who do them, and they do them only around this time. And I have no idea why they do them only then, if there's a deeper reason, if it's a magic circle, who knows, or they just do it for fun because that's when they're relaxing around Pesach. But the interesting thing is that they classify them as of the Christians, dos goyus, or ours, os nossos. And I tried to going through all the collections to see what the criteria could be for classifying them as Christian or Jewish, and I couldn't find any. Even the ones that use the word Jesus were sometimes classified as Jewish. So I guess if they were used to them, that's what they sang, and if they weren't, they didn't. There's another one. The only instrument the men typically played was the harmonica. Some of the women played the aduf in the past. I'll show it to you in a second. And now some of them are also learning various instruments in the town music school, but traditionally, really, it was just this for the Jogos de Roda. And this is a Passover picnic that they used to have. When the Belmonte Synagogue opened on December 4th, 1996, there was great confusion. The women thought that they were going to be sitting downstairs in the synagogue that they had all decorated and cleaned and worked on, and they had no idea they were going to be moved upstairs. Half of them have problems walking, mobility issues. And this is a mixed, a Seder with a Moroccan Sephardic woman who married in, and local people, singing a complete mixture of Hebrew songs for Passover and local songs. So I'm not going to do this in detail now, but anyone who wants to ask me about it, or I've published a couple of articles about it. Basically, I've divided it into material they identify as ours, which are recited but not sung prayers, recited biblical ballads, and a few songs, and this is all in Portuguese, no Hebrew, except the word Adonai and sometimes trefa. Jewish material they got from outside in the 20th century, and non-Jewish material, which is the same as their non-Jewish neighbors sing, okay? So what I'm really saying is that even the one or two songs that they have that no one else sings in Portugal are pretty modern tunes. They're not earlier than the late 19th century, because probably it was too dangerous to sing a different melody from your neighbors during the years of the Inquisition. You could say different words, and they pray very quietly. The women pray like this. From outside, it just sounds like talking and chatting while they're making lunch. But to sing a melody that's different from everyone else's probably would have been too dangerous. Miguel Vaz actually now lives in Israel, and Marcos Moreira, they started singing some of the liturgy that they were learning from the rabbis who came through with local tunes. Miguel with just those couple of local tunes, and Marcos, he said to me, just with a bit of fado to give it spice. So really, they were following the practice of Jews everywhere in the world to take the music around you in your culture and adapt it to Hebrew and to what you need to do ritually and to celebrate the Jewish life cycle and calendar cycle. So this is that one song. This is Conceição, whom Shulamit knows well. In fact, whom Shulamit introduced me to originally, I believe. And it's one of those jogos de roda. They do it as a jogos de roda, but they also do it to, what they do is cut the water. It symbolizes crossing the Red Sea. They beat the water with sticks.
Pega no trambolim, vamos nós dançar então. Pega no trambolim, vamos nós dançar então.
This is Maria, a sister of Aaron. Play the drum and let's dance all together. Now, Schwartz wrote in 1918, or almost 100 years ago, really, that the melody was so oriental it must be ancient. So he might have been hearing it with very romantic ears, or they might have sung it in a different style, but they sing it the same way today. I think he just wanted it to be ancient. These are the songs that they learned from Halapid, from the journal that was sent around. So the famous ballad of Judah, the troubadour, and his beloved Tamar, and they elope. Can you raise the volume? Oh. I can't, I just asked. But come to 6:30, I'll sing some of these things for you in the concert. Whoops, here we go again. Is that what I'm playing? You should recognize that. You all recognize it? Hatikva, Nossa Esperança. So this was translated into Portuguese in Halapid, in his magazine, Baruch Bashu's magazine, in 1925. This is Conceição and her granddaughter singing Yaseh Shalom, but phonetically. Oh, keep doing this. Does it come? There we go. And Quando el Rey Nimrod, they learned from a rabbi, and they use it now for just about everything, but especially in Kelohenu. Finally, traditional music of non-Jewish neighbors. I'm not going to give you examples of this for time. The procession of Our Lady of Hope, the patron saint of Belmonte, is around the same time as Passover and Easter. And quite often in the past, the older crypto-Jewish women would sneak out very quietly late at night, all dressed in black, and stand in the procession. These are the gypsies, the ciganos, and their evangelical church. These are all ciganos. Down here, they live literally next door. They have tables next to the Jews at the marketplaces. And these are women in the areas playing the aduf, which, as I said, the Jewish women used to, but don't usually anymore. I'll do some tonight, okay? Lá cima ao castelo, ai de tudo à venda. Diga-me, menina, Sanágua tem renda, Sanágua tem renda, mas deixa ter. O que você queria era na água ver. Okay, we'll do some tonight. Wait, I'm not done. Shared repertoire, which is sometimes counted as Jewish and sometimes counted as non-Jewish. So at the first really open Jewish wedding in 500 years, the guests danced to a popular St. John's Eve song, okay? So, Ai Lisboa, St. John of the Workers, jump over the bonfire and to light everything. So it's a totally Christian song. The same bonfire that your ancestors lit. Okay, so that's what they sang at this first Jewish wedding, one of the things they sang. This is 12 tablets of Moses, which is very much like Echad Meodea, okay, that I'm recording here. This is Maria singing this. non-Jews singing and dancing together in Cursão. Neighbors are making now a turismo religioso judaico. They're making their own, their own kind of tourist things. Cruz Judaica is this one in Arguzelo. Belmonte in Cursão. Belmonte now has a brand new Jewish radio station. It's just opened. This is the museum in Cursão back in 2010 when they had just got the building, and this is it now. You can see all the signs. It's, built into tourism. And these are the kinds of festivals, so-called medieval festivals of the three cultures, where there's no Jews involved at all. It's just people's idea. This is supposed to be a medieval Jewish bride on a donkey, sort of like Mary. This is supposed to be a medieval Jewish wedding. This is supposed to be a parade of medieval Jews. And this is their idea of what we do at Purim. And so on and so forth. Construction, the comic of the Inquisition, the pork sausage with the label as a Jewish star, cafe bar, Converso dolls, and Guarda 2012, where the guide said all kinds of, peculiar things and had the people in the audience, the tour, dressed up at one moment as inquisitors. And there's another tour guide worker, and she said, "Isn't that fun?" So at the end, as Portugal welcomes back its Anousim, more and more Judeos are leaving Belmont, some for Israel. Good night, Belmont. I took this picture last summer, and new tomorrows are coming. Thank you.